Hi everyone, this is Frank Rotz. Another tip video is a flipping switch on a baitcast reel. Ironically, it's a technique in a topic that was very popular from the late 1970s up until probably around 2010, 2012. It's only the past 5, 6, 7 years that you just don't hear a lot about flipping, the technique or what it can do for you. I'm not going to talk about the technique so much, but what I am going to talk about is what a flipping switch on a baitcast reel can do. Well, first of all, the heart of flipping involves a switch here on a reel. Now you're going to note this is a left-hand retrieve reel. Now, normally I would use a right hand, but if you're right hand dominant, I think it's pretty important that you use a left-handed reel, because you don't want to switch hands when you're flipping, because when you're flipping you're getting that jig in that target area and the fish is going to strike it right away. So I would not recommend switching hands. But what this video is about is the switch. So when you engage a flipping switch on, what it actually does is it gives like your thumb bar like a spring mechanism in it. And what that means is when you put your thumb down to hold the spool down and you make your cast out, when you lift your thumb up, it's automatically engaged and ready to crank. That's the whole key to flipping. Some reels, like the Silver Max, it's not quite what's on the Silver Max currently. It's not a full switch. You have to manually use it. So again, off would be a regular baitcaster, and then on would be like that spring mechanism. Again, you're ready for a strike right when it pops in the water. I've caught a few fish with the flipping technique. I use more spinning than casting, but there are a few reels that still have a flipping switch. I believe a Quantum Acris still does. It's still a very valid technique if you want to research flipping. Basically, you're just getting a jig or a plastic into a heavy cover situation and kind of muscling the fish out. It's a short range technique, and it could really bump up your odds if you haven't been immersed into it. But as a writer, I wanted to mention this just because it seems like it's out of fashion for some reason, and there really isn't any real justification why more people aren't flipping. And the technique that's a cousin to flipping is pitching. So you've got pitching and flipping. All the old pros like Roland Martin, I should say most of them, Bill Dance, they were all Rick Clunn, they were all pretty adept at that. And now it seems like punching is more popular of a technique. But anyhow, your flipping switch can do things that no other reel can do. If you want to flip, you want to make sure you get that full flipping switch where that spring just pops back. Otherwise, you have to work it manually to turn it on and off, and that's less than ideal if you're trying to get a short range strike. So this is Frank Rotz. Could you please give me a thumbs up? I'm giving some tips, starting out with some more, I guess what you could say, bread and butter ones, and moving more in depth as time goes on. Thank you for those of you that watched the Mr. Twister video, the last one I posted. I appreciate it. And at least, not saying to try flipping, but at least research it, Google it, and maybe it can do some things for you. Actually, the stitching technique that I use with spinning replaces the need for this, because you can use light line on a lighter rod. So if you're interested in a short range technique that you can use on spinning, look at the earlier stitching videos that I posted. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care.